right.
How we doing? Hi, Matt.
Fine. Nice meeting you finally.
How are you doing?
All right.
I remember you from Central.
You
Do
do?
you remember me?
I remember your name.
Hi,
I'm his mother.
Yeah. I was, you graduated '87?
Yes.
I was there, I started there in the fall of 1985.
Okay.
So it was my first year there.
I just want to explain that, all this is simply about getting credit from, my work. And that I've described to be as simple as, putting a document at the school that just says I drew it. I don't expect any monetary compensation. That was never what this was about. I stated that from the very beginning. I just simply want to pay some acknowledgement. But let me go ahead and start. So I did note that in this Centurion article, which I'm sure you guys have read, as it was saying that there was a meeting held by a committee of students and advisors to adopt an official image of the Central High Bear mascot. And David Keller is said to have played a big role in that. At this point, they were talking about doing 2 mascots. Obviously, that was abandoned because there was supposed to be a more humorous one. David Taylor approached me. He approached me. I can't even tell you the class. It was Mr. Carter's art class that I was taking. It was towards the end of that school year. He approaches me in art class. He said, as I recall, it was something along the lines of a contest. This wasn't a contest I had heard any promotion for or anything. This is just what I remember Taylor telling me. He asked me to draw the bear. He wanted specifically this bear, which again, this article even validates that because that is the image they were wanting to use. Of course, this is a painted mural in the gymnasium. What is it, 10 feet tall or however long that is?
Pretty big.
So you can't reproduce that in the way that they needed it to be. Besides just, like I said, a contest, there was a reason. Specifically, that was a year they officially chose to adopt an image for the Central Bear mascot. As it claims in there, or states, that there is, there was never a consistent image up till this point. And that is why the committees decided they wanted, and they decided they wanted that to be that painted mural to be their mean bear. Okay? And that is what I was requested to draw by Mr. Taylor. I was given a pass basically to get out of Mr. Carter's class for a period and go down there and sketch it up. And I remember finishing it in Mr. Carter's class with my fellow students around me and everything. So that happened. I handed him over the drawing. That's the last I heard of it. After I graduated, the bear was put to use or another. My first awareness actually comes with 1989 when my younger brother was graduating, and he got sent some invitations, he bought some invitations from Central, and they had the bear image on it. My bear image, even if it's based off this mural, is distinct in so many ways. And again, you can't, especially 1987 technology or 1989, you couldn't take this bear image and reproduce it like the Central High School wants to and has done for 30 years. And so it was definitely my bear, is what I'm getting at. And I thought, well, that's odd. They never, I never heard anything about this. I then never approached the school during several years because, frankly, I didn't know if there was a point at that time. I didn't know if I thought honestly I would be brushed off. I didn't know that, but I just kind of let it go by the wayside. And then in 2012, what happened is I had images of the bear, but because it's been newspapers and banners and all sorts of things. And so anyway, I posted a picture on my Facebook page, and somebody else who was aware of the fact that I was never credited for the bear, said, shame basically that Central's never credited me for this bear. And Mr. Wooten, who's a mutual friend on Facebook, a former Central High School teacher, he asked me what that was about, so I went ahead and wrote to him. And through a message on Facebook explaining what had happened. And then what he does is he writes to the EVSC, or I think to Central first. And then he doesn't receive a response. This is in May of 2012.
I think I actually talked to Mr. Wooten.
Okay. But this was in May of 2012. At that time, he told me he didn't get a response. He wrote back in October. And then he said he finally received a response, and it was a message relayed by the school secretary, the then principal, Darla Hoover, and you, Paul Neidig, of the EVSC, that the bear in question was in yearbooks prior to when I had said I drew it. Now, honestly, it wasn't. Okay. And I knew that at the time because, of course, I drew it. But I also knew because well, like I said, that's enough there, but I knew I could prove that because of that fact. And if I had to do research, at that time I wasn't sure if I wanted to dig in, but if I had to, I would, and I frankly have since. I sent letters to you at that time. I sent letters to the EVSC, to Central. I sent it to the media and everything else at the time to explain my situation. You did respond, and you claimed that there was an investigation. You said that you found that while I had contributed to the MASCOT's design, and you stressed that it was while I was still a student for, which wasn't disputed.
And I honestly based that off of your information, Matt.
Right. Well, I understand. Don't get me wrong. It seems to be coming at me kind of like a legalese, like maybe you're trying to figure that I'm somehow would undermine it.
No, because, and I'll just, I don't want to let you continue,
Right.
but just so you know, and I was at Central that entire time.
Right.
I've been through a lot of bears in that building.
I understand.
And I've never, and I can tell you this, I probably know that building better than the people that are currently working. And I've never seen a bear or a rendition of the bear or a drawing of a bear that had the signature of yours on it.
I can tell you this much.
Mm-hmm.
The original does, and but the signature, I've only seen one instance myself.
Mm-hmm.
And frankly, I think it was a mistake that they did it, that they probably, the past
And
probably
the
would have.
reason why I say that was off of that program from 2002, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Was it a 2002 program?
Mm-hmm.
And have you found the program?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, that was off a basketball program from 2002. And that was, the school was not producing those.
Right.
And I cannot tell you, that's the only time I've ever seen a bear with your name on it.
Well, that would explain, since the school wasn't producing, that might explain why it was left intact.
Yeah, because, and just the reason I know that is, in 2005, and I can show you where I did it, and I think you have it on your website, there's a copy of the bear. I actually, at that time, was doing my original degree was in technology education with graphic arts. And I had taken Photoshop and scanned that into the computer and cleaned up a bunch of lines, the only rendition of it that I had. And I added all the color and I added the...
But it didn't have his name on it.
No, it didn't have your name on it. I can tell you that. I never, what I used did not have your name on it. And I can pull it up on my computer and show you the one that I did in 2005.
Actually, I would like to see it. In investigating this myself, I found out things not necessarily related to specifically to my situation, but I found out about the history more or less, just piecing things together. Was it, I'm forgetting his name, but Cohen, a football player.
Scott Cowan passed away in 1983 as a sophomore.
Right.
And
it was actually 82, if we're going by.
That's right, yeah. He was a sophomore, and that's right, because the class of 85 is the one that actually commissioned to have that bear drawn.
And that's what I realized when I looked at these yearbooks, again, looking for what, honestly, when you first sent the response to Mr. Wood saying it appeared in your book, I did think it was a mistake on your part. And so I just...
Well, I can tell you what I was referring to was that yearbook.
1983?
The origins, I know that that's different.
And that's the first thing that came to my mind. Here's the funny thing, is that's actually the year my brother graduated, so I was actually familiar with that yearbook.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I was trying to think, what bear image could you be thinking about? And if I may, because I just wanted to ask you this directly, because this has always kind of concerned me, is when you sent that letter to me, you did say, not only, you said you found I did contribute to the design, but then you tell me that the bear in use was used prior to my contribution, the bear drawing was in use.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I point out in letters to you, which you had to respond to be honest, I said, first off, what was my contribution if it wasn't the drawing?
What I was referring to was the original artwork that was designed and painted by Kip Huss and what's the gentleman?
Larry Johnson.
Larry Johnson.
And then that wasn't my contribution.
you know, what I mean by that is you contributed to the contribution. And I do, Matt, completely believe that you went to the gym and you draw a pen and ink rendition of that bear. I believe that. I believe you, and that's why I said what I said in the letter then. I never meant to discredit you. I've always believed that you drew a copy of the bear.
Okay, but then, excuse me, if that's the case, why do you say that the bear in use was used prior to my contribution? It is my bear. When you go in that Central High School to this day, and you walk in that front hall, on that banner, I know I just went last week, on the banner, that's my bear. It's been my bear on t-shirts, it's been my bear that was on the street sign. It's been my bear that has been on pins and newspaper articles and other kinds of calendars and stuff like that. Ever since 1980s, even after 2012. That's been my artwork. That's not this. That's not this. It is my artwork. When you Google Central High School, the first image you see is my bear. It may be the version you colored, but it's my line work. It's the bear.
Can I ask a silly question?
Yes.
I took art in high school, but I haven't done anything with it since then, that's for sure. And I don't mean to ask an ignorant question, but how, because I know this is before you did yours, so like when I look at, if you see a bear now, like I think you mentioned one, that banner up in and out of Central, and I've seen it's got the outline, isn't it the same as
No.
this? And I'm not trying to sound
in
rude, I
fact,
just didn't know.
In fact, I'll just go and jump ahead here to show you comparisons.
Because I was just sitting here looking at this, and I thought, well, that looks,
Several times. There'll be distinctions though. It's not a direct copy. When I made the video, first of all, I brought up the 1983 yearbook. I did not realize where this image came from. One thing I could have told you, and I did say in this video, it wasn't a student. I could tell, even admittedly being an artist myself, and there are some very accomplished artists, but a high school student, I said, didn't draw that. And my friend who watched the video, he says, oh, I know which bear that is. That's from the How to Draw book from Walter Foster Publications. And it was. There's one bear, there's another bear. This three-headed bear is to show positions. I did some Photoshop here to eliminate the heads. This is the actual drawing as it appears in the book. And if I need to, I can bring in that book to prove
It
it.
doesn't matter.
Okay.
You can't go back in time. We don't know who did
I
it.
mean, that was.
No, we do know who did this. That's the thing.
I mean, we don't know who put it on the book, who authorized it to go
But
on
this
the book.
supports my claims. Is another bear from another page in that book. This bear, its body matches the mural. The head was taken from this bear. Both these images come from this book. That bear, you take this head, put it on that bear, you get that. And that, as you see by a screen catch, is an exact match.
I
Okay?
will tell you, I spoke to the artist who did this bear,
Right.
and they told me it was an original drawing
From him.
from the artist
Right.
that painted it on the wall.
Okay. Oh, he said it was original drawing, not from this book?
Correct. He doesn't know anything about it.
Yeah, I'm sure he doesn't.
I'm just telling you.
I'm sure he doesn't.
so you're,
Scott,
I-
just a little bit too, so you know.
If this is in fact what he said, yeah.
so you're,
Now this is a little bit, this is changed up a bit. This isn't exact, that's exact.
so you're implying the artist who did that used this book.
I don't know what he used, but he used that image that was derived from that book.
Like looking at it and talking.
I mean, it's in,
He told me he drew it.
I
Now,
understand
whether
that.
He did
whether
draw
he
it.
did the same thing you did, and he looked at that, and then he drew it.
but here's what's
And he
interesting.
painted it, I
You're
don't
right.
know.
And I'm not even challenging, this is kind of a moot point, because I'm not even
Right.
challenging where he got the drawing from. I'm just explaining the history of this bear. Okay?
Yeah.
And I'm explaining that it's not my bear drawing, because my bear drawing, frankly, does not match up. You see, it's similar in post, but it does not match up. You superimpose this on top of that, it doesn't match.
But that's
That
what's on this
is,
page, right?
nope, that is my drawing.
Yeah, but
This,
isn't that,
here, let me show you.
it looks just like that.
1983, this drawing, or this drawing? This drawing or this drawing looks like that? Exactly?
They all look similar to me, I
They
guess.
look similar, do they look exact?
Pretty close, I mean, that
Do
looks
you
like
think
that.
objective observers would say so?
I think part of the issue of this is that because this says this is the official mascot for Central. This was back in '86. This painting is the official mascot. We all agree, right? I mean, it
Well, I
says-
agree they wanted that to be,
Yeah.
put into a form that they could use, yes.
Right, so when you agreed to draw it, so that it could be used in other formats, because like you said, you can't get it off the wall, I mean, that was 1986, and we didn't have the technology to put it in any other format unless somebody drew it. So I think, from what we've been able to figure out, and in our research, and we have lots of other stuff too, that when people used your drawing, not knowing it was your drawing, because apparently it showed up in 1982 or 3 on that basketball.
Well, my drawing did not show on 8283.
Well, we can't find it where it was used before then. Okay, so it may have been, but I can't find it
And
anywhere.
let's take, Matt,
can't-
let me.
You can't find my actual line work.
I can't find your line work, and
Why do you think
believe
that
me,
is?
if I could find it, you would have it.
You
We
won't.
would give it to you. We tried to find it, to
Yeah,
give
they
it back
looked
to
in the
you.
archive room.
We went, I've been in that archive room so many times, I know it inside and out now, but we tried really, really hard because we wanted to give it to you. So that if anybody ever used it, they would have to ask you for it, but we couldn't find it. So we've called every old athletic
Man, here's what
director.
I've done. At this point, and Pam and I, she's put more hours in this time than I have, but I've talked to Joan Finch, who was the principal of the school when we were there, and I asked Joan for any information that she could help me with.
I know the current principal also asked for staff if anyone has seen the original drawing you're asking about. No one there knows anything about it.
She sent a memo.
Of course, you're talking 30 years ago, so I
And
mean,
we
there's a
called-
lot of people that have long since retired, passed away,
Right.
you know, unfortunately, so.
We called the old athletic director that you mentioned in your blog. She doesn't remember having it, or doesn't know anything about it. Trust me, we really wanted to give it back to you, and so that you
But
would own
do
it.
you see my issue here isn't just about, you finding the original art or not. It's about acknowledging that the drawing you have used is my artwork and simply give me credit for it.
Well,
But
but
it's-
here's our concern, is that when people have used it over the years, they thought they were using this, because this is the official mascot, the likeness of this, which they were, because you drew a likeness of this, right?
I drew a likeness
Same way with
based off of
this, I
that.
mean, this
Yeah,
and
but-
that, I mean, they all.
But in order to use the official mascot bear, that at that
See-
time was the official bear, they used that drawing. Now, we don't know who, because.
But
none
what
of
I'm
us
saying
were
is, this
here.
is a game of semantics. You're trying to say, it's the mascot you print. No, it's my art you have used that was based off the mascot. I'm simply asking for credit. Are you trying to say you can't give me credit for artwork that you use that's been mine all along, simply because I based it off a mural that you
I-
claim it's the
I
mascot?
think that.
It
the
says
issue-
right here, it's the mascot.
Okay, so what I'm saying is,
I think the issue here,
I
Matt, is.
think anybody else listening to this who wasn't biased
I-
would
I-
be able to say,
hold on,
I'm
hold
sorry,
on.
would
I
be
think-
able to say
Calm down a
that
little.
is.
I think the issue here is that nobody's wanting to disrespect you, Matt. I hope it doesn't seem that way. The bottom line is, I don't think anyone can prove or disprove, I mean, we've got so many different bears here, and I know you're saying yours isn't anything like this, but to the casual observer, they all look the same to me. Clearly, I'm not an artist.
Matt, let me tell you right here, no one is saying this is a drawing. No one is not, no one is saying
okay.
that's not your drawing.
Listen,
And we've
okay.
never said that's not your drawing.
So why have somebody else lay claim to it? So why can't you give me credit?
I'm not saying you didn't draw that bear. No one's saying that. My concern is this bear was donated as the mascot of the bear in memory of a young man who died on the football field from a brain injury.
Right?
So this was what people thought they were using when they used that picture. They thought that they never intended to there was never a conscious effort to take a drawing that you did, take your name off of it, to hide the fact that they were using your drawing.
No.
That never, ever, there was never that intent.
I never would have thought that they tried to hide it until after my talk with 2012 with this discussion. Okay,
So, but if somebody thought that this was, when you were there, and if you would have picked up this picture, this drawing, and thought that it was the official drawing for the bear, for the school, and put it on a t-shirt, it's probably had lots of copies over the years, lots of
do you
versions.
realize?
There's no telling how many
No.
students at Central over the years have drawn the bear. I
Do you
think.
realize? No, this bear image, a specific image is saying. Do you not?
Yeah.
Do you realize you're talking to an artist here who
Oh.
would recognize back then the distinctions between these two?
And
You
understand, we
absolutely
are
would.
no artists. I've
Yeah,
made that very clear.
You
No.
absolutely would.
Absolutely
You
not.
would know your bear because you are an artist, and from your drawings are very, very
I-
good.
when
Back in the
each-
high school, they were very good. No one's saying that.
Each line matches the same line, whether it was colored or not.
But what I'm saying is that the people over the years that have used this drawing,
I know you're trying to tell me that they thought they were using a mural.
they thought they were using the official bear.
And, I mean, how, and please explain, how is it different than, I mean, because like you
Okay.
said, Batman,
I
if
will
I sit
explain.
here and draw Batman, I can't take credit.
Do you
for
know that Jim Lee, he's an artist.
Okay.
Frank Miller is an artist.
Sure.
I
I don't know their
I don't know
names,
if you're
but I
familiar.
believe you.
A lot of people do know their names. Sin City, have you heard of the movie Sin City?
Yes, I have heard of that, yes.
It was
It's
created
kind of
by-
black and white,
Right.
yeah.
Created by an artist named Frank Miller.
Yes, yes, I
He
have
did
heard
a
of
movie that, which by the way, he received credits, of course, for his own work, but also he's known for doing a book called Dark Knight Returns with Batman in 1985.
Okay,
The newest movie of Batman v Superman
yes.
credits him because they take elements from that story. He's not Bob Kane. Bob Kane was the guy who first drew Batman. Frank Miller did and does receive credit for the work he did on Batman.
Okay.
Jim Lee, another artist. I can name countless artists. We could be in here all day, honestly, by doing it. Yes, they do credit artists for drawings, their own version of a character or an image.
But-
Of course they do.
But you could understand.
And I don't deny
Yeah, you
that's
can-
true, I just don't know, that's why I'm asking.
But you can understand over the years how if this drawing was used around the high school, that your name could have gotten dropped off accidentally.
I can understand that part because of the design element. I do agree with that part, but it can be dropped off without any malicious intent.
Right.
Sure.
That part I agree with. My problem is, even whenever I'm sitting here talking to you, it's clear that you guys are still wanting to take a stance that because other people might confuse it with that bear, I don't deserve credit.
Which
just
on this
doesn't
one, you
make
did get
sense.
credit here, right?
Yeah.
Because your name is on there.
Okay, they actually let another company, which you just had told me yourself wasn't printed by Central, didn't mark it out or mask it whenever they put it in, when they printed it. So it escaped the one time, yes.
What the-
On my word, I can promise you, in all the years I spent there at Central High School, I've never seen a rendition of that bear or that bear with your name on it. I promise you that.
And
You know?
I'm not saying that you haven't, because, you know, it was the original art had it, but when it's reproduced, it's usually dropped. Like I said, that's the only instance I know of where it hasn't been dropped.
And I don't know where
Yeah,
that
I-
came from. Just a couple things, and I don't know if you guys finished up, but
No, I wanted to just tell you a couple things. I think on your blog, you mentioned that we never gave credit for this drawing, and it is actually signed, and there were
I
some,
can find out and see. I don't remember if I specifically said you did, or I don't think you did.
well, it's signed and dated,
Okay.
and there were some
Because I'm usually
newspaper,
pretty deliberate in my language I use on that.
there were some newspaper stories that were done back
So you
in
did give credit
'84.
to somebody else who drew a bear.
Well, he signed it.
Yeah, the artist who did
Yeah,
that.
I
This is
did
on the
too.
wall.
I did
Well,
too.
I know, sir, but I can't, I
We
don't know
can't go
what's
back in
happened over
time.
50 years. I
Yeah.
can't go back in time.
When you
There was-
investigate something like this, you have to go back in time.
Well,
I
I
know
mean,
that
I-
you tried to
Yeah,
do
and
that.
you have to keep in mind, again, so many people who were involved when you were there have not been there for years or retired or passed away. I mean, there's just,
but they
you can't go
signed,
back like it was yesterday. I mean, things have changed a lot since you were there. That's a long time.
yeah, and we don't know
Yeah.
how, I mean, I tried to trace every place that this was used. The first times that I saw it used, now it may have been on the graduation announcement, and I didn't see that, I'm not saying it wasn't used there, was this one with that date on it, where it was obviously that this is his drawing and it was used with your name on it. That's the first time I can find it. There are lots of variation bears that have been used.
And I'm sure in the
Can I see
same,
those? I'll show you.
Well, and I'm not saying,
Can I
these are
see
not
those and show you?
yours.
I know they aren't. I can tell you.
and,
they
and
aren't.
I'm sure in any of our
Let
high
me-
schools, we have students over the last
May I
30
see
years
those?
who have done a lot of drawings of huskies or panthers or bulldogs or whatever the case may be.
I'm not saying where it came from.
I know where, you don't have to tell me, I know.
But I'm
You
just.
know, no, let me
I'm-
tell you what, I can tell you what, that came from a company called School Day Books. I
Right.
did those.
Right, and they took the image from us.
Well, they may have, but I don't know how they worked it out with the company.
Right.
Yeah.
But that was
I'm not even,
that was a stock bear that you could pull off of School Day Books artwork.
This is a bear that's painted
That's
on the
mine.
wall. That is a painting on a wall in the small gym that was actually signed, it's painted by Mr. Huntington, I think, or, no, what's his name? There's two large bears on the gym.
let me take a picture of this.
You can have this.
Can I have
You
it?
don't even have to take a picture.
That is actually, if you look on the gym in the, the small gym, there are two large bear paintings that are up there.
It's been edited to shifted. That is the same signature.
Oh, this one, yeah, this one is sure. Yeah.
Well, you were given credit.
Yeah, so you have
Yeah,
credit
but
there.
there, so this one is
My
yours.
signature was left on it, but here's the thing, whenever I sent,
Well, this one, it actually, it would have had to,
somebody photoshopped it because they wanted to do this effect.
right, this is the effect that's on the wall.
The effect was drawn by somebody else, but the bear is still the same bear.
And it was nice that they gave you credit.
It was nice.
So I guess from that standpoint, I mean, there are a couple examples here where you,
You want to know
You
that
had
touch-up
credit.
sign? There was a couple of credits where my signature was left. That's not the same as what I've been saying is official credit or recognition.
I guess I still don't understand the difference because kids draw things in
You are a
high schools
teacher?
all the time.
Are you a teacher?
I'm a former teacher, yes.
You don't understand the difference.
Between that, no, because I guess I'm
This
just
isn't just a
saying.
semantics game. You just
Yeah.
really don't understand.
No, I guess what I'm showing, let me pull this bottom one out. I mean, your name's on both of those, so there's your name, but I mean, I guess from my standpoint, students in high schools draw things all the time.
All right.
Matt, help me
They
understand.
haven't exploited it for schools all the time.
Help me understand something, I'm just trying, I really want to get my arms around this. Before I get there, I just want to tell you what we've done, because to try to find it, okay? And I've gone back to Mrs. Finch as I was starting to interview.
Oh, that's right.
And I've talked to Mrs. Finch, and she really couldn't provide much information for me. I've talked to Ed Cole about it, and Ed remembers you well as a student, called you a fine artist for him, and did a lot of cartoon work for him. Mr. Cole does not, he said he remembered you drawing a bear that was more kind of cartoon-like, but he doesn't ever remember seeing that bear. Okay, I'm just, I also talked to Alicia Gooch. Okay, because I think at one point, Matt, you said that somewhere I read that Mrs. Gooch had it under lock and key.
That's what I had understood. Or at least I was told it
Yeah.
was protected as well.
Yeah, and Mrs. Gooch was actually my secretary in the athletic office.
Right.
And she served as athletic secretary 1 year before I became athletic director. And I went to Mrs. Gooch and I asked Mrs. Gooch if she ever recalled seeing that bear anywhere in the athletic office. She does not recall. I was in that athletic office for 10 years, and I don't ever recall seeing that bear under lock and key.
But we did go back through all the files.
We went back to the athletic office. We went through every drawer. We went through every file cabinet.
Okay, let me ask you. With most printing, you need to have a good clean image. If not the original, then I would presume a really nice clean scan. This has been reproduced. There's no dispute I think that can be brought up that it's been used consistently since, at least 1980. Well, probably 1988 was the first year of use. How are you making such clean scans since?
I can tell you what I did. I did 2 different versions, and I personally did it. I found the best copy where it was at the time. I used the scanner at school. I pulled into an early version of 2005 Photoshop, and I spent hours erasing speckles and cleaning up parts of it, and trying to had to recolor every line in, and spent hours trying to crispen it up so it could be utilized. And then I also added the color, and the color one is the one that you have on your blog that I can show you that I did in 2005.
Right.
I did.
Well, I did the coloring. I don't dispute you.
No, I did that.
Yeah.
And so I would, and Matt, I can tell you this, if we lay those side by side. They're gonna be very close. But an exact reproduction I couldn't do because the original that I used wasn't good enough, you know. And a lot of those things have been,
It was 2005.
uh-huh.
This was 2004.
Oh, I know.
Somebody else has colored it in,
Yeah.
obviously.
Do you not understand
Before
what I'm
me.
saying? I'm not talking about coloring.
Yeah, when he did it,
I'm saying the line work is produced. It was
I'm
clear
just
enough.
telling you
It
that
was clear
Central
enough
High
for
School,
production.
well,
Central High
someone,
School did not have that math.
someone
Was
sent
this
your,
past 1999?
yeah,
Was
someone,
this before 2005?
But I'm just, maybe
Was the
another,
line work?
maybe
What we're
another
saying
student.
is-
There is some, I'm sorry, I understand what you're saying. Do you understand too that you said you cleaned up in 2005?
I did.
Both these instances are before 2005. Both of them have my signature. Was my signature removed in 2005?
Not on the one that I used.
somewhere,
Nobody is trying
I
to
tried,
discredit you.
I
The whole thing
contacted,
is-
Nobody, okay.
I contacted the sign company to try to find that banner that you're talking about, to see where they got the drawing, if they have the original, because we're trying to get that.
As teachers, what does it mean to discredit someone?
But nobody here is trying to
What does
discredit
it
you.
mean to discredit somebody?
We're
So
not.
nobody's
You won't
trying
give
to
me a
discredit
definition.
you.
Let me understand.
Nobody's trying to discredit you.
Well-
When you say that I did not draw the bear that I drew, you were trying to discredit
I
me.
didn't say that.
You said, okay, if we're gonna play legalese, you're trying to be specific by line, but you do say that the bear now in use, which has been used since, it was not used prior to my contribution. It was. That is just trying to discredit me there.
No, nobody wants to, the thing you did draw, we
And if
appreciate
you were
it.
saying I did draw it and you do appreciate it, I don't understand what the complication is, simply giving some acknowledgement.
But I guess you have that
What I'm
here, your
saying-
name
No,
is
that's
included.
That's not, is that public acknowledgement?
What
is your
No,
signature?
this letter does not acknowledge me. It does not give me public acknowledgement. In fact, denies me acknowledgement.
Hold on, Matt, I don't wanna mix words here. What I said here, that in the past, while a student contributed to the mascot's design, I said in the beginning, I think you drew a bear. I think you drew one of these bears right here. I've not said that you didn't, Matt, and that's what I'm saying there. I base that off of what you told me. I believed you, okay? And then I go on to say, the basic bear drawing compilation now in use was used prior to your contribution. What I meant by that is that painting was drawn and painted prior to your contribution to that.
Right. And
That's all.
And I understand that's what you were trying to say.
And he acknowledged that you contributed in some way.
You didn't specify, because to specify would be to say that it is this art that has been reproduced. You're trying to say that this bear is this bear in the sense that the artwork that's being used is that bear. That the mural is not what's being used. My version has been reproduced.
Matt, help me with this, just so I can I'm trying to understand your position on it, okay? And
Without bias, it's clear to understand.
if somebody went and the Mona Lisa is on the wall over there, and somebody went and took pen and ink and reproduced the Mona Lisa, and that Mona Lisa was then used in other aspects, who gets credit for that?
The recreated use, if it was done in line work form, the artist who recreated it.
Isn't that just an example of somebody looking at somebody else's artwork and sketching it?
That, first off, that is a painting, okay? Again, like with this, it can't be recreated in pen and ink work. You don't think that man who recreated, man, woman, who, I know this is hypothetical, you don't think they received credit for their work?
But why would they
Yeah.
if they're just drawing somebody else's artwork?
Well, there's, first
I
off,
don't know, I'm just asking, I'm not trying to.
why
be
would they?
rude.
Because it's still their distinct version of that work. Andy Warhol, do you guys all know Andy Warhol?
No, I'm familiar with the
They
name, I can't
realized
tell you all.
that one is supposed to be there paints a bunch of cans
Right.
of Campbell soup.
Yeah.
He also appropriated images from comic books. He swiped them, which is what we're talking about, is swiping. But it was accepted form called pop art. He was credited for it, very well so, very much so. And he took straight panels from comic books. Yes, artists are credited for recreating other works. There's a strong history of that.
Well, I wanna know, I'm gonna ask something. What you're saying is because they did this for the boy that passed away in the basketball, and they did this to honor him, is that what you're saying?
Well,
Did he
that
draw
was
the bear?
reason. No, he didn't. The reason that bear came to life in memory of Scott Cowan, who passed away. They
Okay.
went to Kip and the other artist.
Mhm.
They commissioned them to draw a drawing for Central High School.
Okay,
They were paid.
They were
Yeah,
paid. So
and they
Kip-
put it on the wall,
And they put it on
copied
the
it on the
wall.
wall. Okay, so that was he got credit for doing that, y'all
Well,
made
he
sure.
was paid, yes.
Yeah, and he also would've got
Credit
credit
and
if he
paid.
got paid.
Well, he signed it and he
Yeah.
gave it.
That- Yeah, they.
So y'all give
Yeah,
him
he
credit.
signed it.
Yeah.
But he was a business owner.
Yeah, he wasn't a student.
He wasn't a
So it's
student.
okay for,
No,
well, it's okay for a minor to be exploited by a school system?
I guess
We
my
don't
point is,
know.
students in every high school do artwork.
I know,
all
of
the
course
time.
they
That doesn't mean it's
Sure.
right.
I mean, if that's the case, then we need
That
to
doesn't
go
mean it's right not
back,
to give them credit.
we need to go back.
Well, I'll show you an
through
example
all of
at
these-
Tompkins. Tompkins had my younger son, he drew.
We can't go
the-
back and
Chuck.
pay you for all of these.
Oh,
I'm
that's,
not even- first
that's,
off, yeah, listen to this.
that's the
point.
that's the whole point, he don't.
I didn't
want
say
that.
it was for compensatory compensation. I did not say that. I said all along, I realized that that's not going to happen, and I was never arguing that point.
Mhm.
The simplest thing I'm asking for is just simply for some public acknowledgement. It could be even to the mention on the website, because you guys have so far since 2012, since it was brought up to you, have tried to deny I drew this bear. You've tried to discredit. I'm sorry, but anybody else reading this?
I
will
think
see
that
as
letter
such.
says that you contributed to it.
It doesn't
You
say
got
it's
credit.
no.
Oh,
It
they're
says,
saying
okay,
because
now,
you
now
drew
I'm gonna
a
play with
bear
the words
like
that you
it.
guys play with. I know what the game is here.
Oh, there's no.
You
game.
said nonsense.
Well, it has to be because you're
concerning-
bringing enough money.
Your claims concerning the bear, a mascot, that, this is about the investigation, found that while a student that's stressed, I know why he's distressed, contributed to the mascot's design.
And you did.
Yeah.
Actually,
And we appreciate that.
I drew the drawing you're using. The design was based off of that painting. And you're trying to say that because there's a painting that existed before my contribution of the drawing, which has been reproduced, not the painting, you're trying to say that somehow that erases what happened here. No, it doesn't.
We're not saying it erases anything, so let me just see if I can understand what you want. You would like for us to put up a plaque or a sign or something that says,
Just an acknowledgement.
you redrew this bear and this image was used by Central.
I want you to say that this drawing that you have used for the last 30 years now is my artwork.
Okay.
See
You're trying
that-
to spin it still.
That,
No, I'm trying to
And
understand.
why don't we do this?
While
Matt,
I'm
why
trying
don't,
to keep the memory
why don't we
of
do
this,
this, Matt?
of this young man
Yeah.
still alive.
And why
You
don't
can
we
mention
do
this,
this? Tell us, and the only reason I'm checking this for the time is because we all have 3:00 appointments, but, I mean, what is it that you'd like shared with us that you haven't had a chance to share yet today before we wrap up? I mean, we want to make sure we,
Okay. Oh, by the way, can I?
Matt, let me tell you, look, let me just throw something out here, okay? I can't find an instance where somebody removed your name. I'm sure it was there. I don't discredit that. What we can do, and we'll have to help us and get a decent drawing of it, is have you sign a bear that you've done, okay? That you claim that you recognize as yours. And then if that artwork is used in any form in the future, we'll make sure that your name is associated with that artwork.
Okay.
I can
that's
make
exactly what you're
that,
asking for.
I can make that happen.
no, he
That's
wants
not
credit for
exactly-
what it in the past.
For the past, but if you're going to say now that only in future instances will you now officially credit me if you guys use the bear, then you're trying not to say that bear, that the same drawing was my drawing.
And I think some of those things used is too questionable to know whether it was yours or another student's or the original.
I don't think it is.
What I'm saying
Anybody
is-
knows art would know it would be.
Anybody who doesn't even know art who is not biased knows it.
Well, I want to ask something. That book there, that's the other artist on that book?
I'm not
Matt. That's,
This one, I don't, I mean.
that's
it's the
artwork
same
taken
thing.
from the How to Draw book.
Yeah, I
I'm
knew
sure
that.
the way that worked in 1983 is you would have clip art
Who got
books.
credit for that?
Well, what happened in that era, because I was in graphic arts at that time, you'd have clip art books that would come in. And you would take those clip art books, and then they were images that were for use, and you actually used a waxer, and you ran through a waxer, and you had a layout page, and you would lay that waxer on.
I have no, so I have no dispute about, this is just merely the origins for where they came up with this bear. I know.
Well, I don't think this bear was drawn from this bear, according to Mr. Husk. This was original.
Mr. Huss, it was original painting, yes, I don't,
Well,
but he based it off of those drawings, just the same as I based this off that. You can acknowledge that this,
Well,
you
I-
deserve credit for, even though it's based off of this and another picture from that same book, which I can prove, which I have proved, which I've shown you.
So when you
So you're
talk-
saying that when
you-
I draw this, somehow I don't get credit for
Well,
it?
when you talked to Mr. Husk, did he say that they got it from here? Because when I talked to
I
him.
didn't talk to him.
Well, you just said he based it off of this.
It's,
'Cause he
it's
knows
obvious that he did.
Oh, well.
But I mean,
he
that's
told
an
me it was
assumption.
Original drawing, that's all I
Yeah.
could.
I can say,
You're
that's
making
fine,
an
I can talk to
assumption
him.
there.
But,
Yeah,
but we don't know, after you
but based
gave,
off evidence.
after you gave your drawing to
That's hard to
Mr.
say.
Caleb.
No, that's not hard to say.
It's, before we wrap up, why don't you listen to
That's not
Pam,
hard to
because we
say.
want to make sure.
After you gave your drawing to Mr. Taylor, we don't know what happened to it. It ended up being around Central somewhere. We don't know if then he gave it to the newspaper and said, use this. We don't know if we don't know, and he's not here, so we can't ask him. We would love to. We would love to know at what point did somebody say, let's
Sure.
start using Matt's drawing, because we don't know. But it's in our hearts that we need to keep the legacy of that this painting was drawn.
I'm not
for,
against that.
because this poor young man passed away, and
I know.
the class had this commission for him. So it's really important that we have to keep that legacy. And
So,
it was the official mascot. in
You're saying
memory
if
of
Matt
this
dropped
man.
dead tomorrow and everybody knew that he drew this and he's got his name and that on there, then all of a sudden you would honor him, because if he was a
No,
popular
not even
artist.
then.
No, we're not saying that.
No, what she's trying to say is she's trying to say that they have to use my drawing to honor language. Is fine if you do, by the way. I just want credit. I'm not arguing it being used. I'm not arguing anything except for I just want credit and acknowledgement. I didn't do anything different than this man here did, okay?
But I think that, no, what I was saying was, we have to say that, we have to give credit to, that this is the official
You have
mascot
to give
for the
credit
school.
those that you got from an adult who were for distance.
No, because it was done
You
in
actually said that
memory.
earlier.
It was painting,
I
it was
think
a
now we're
commissioned
just,
painting.
yeah, I mean, there's no point arguing that. I mean,
Right.
It was a commissioned painting, and
is there anything else you want to share with us, because we've got to wrap up
Right,
before
I
our
understand.
next meeting, so.
Matt,
There's,
I could, right now, I wish I could find the drawing. Because I even had.
So,
we love for
if you
to
don't have the
it.
drawing, you think that's insinuating he's lying.
But if it would
No,
turn up.
no, we've never said these lines.
I-
We would like to give it back to
And
you.
if it
so-
turns up next week?
We had to.
In
print-
Wikipedia,
are you
it don't
not
give
still
credit.
using
We didn't put it on
Line
Wikipedia,
work.
ma'am.
Who did?
I don't know. We
this
don't know.
actual image, the bear image, you know.
I can't, there are instances of that bear up at Central High School.
Right.
And this bear and that
And
bear.
I
Well,
can't-
specifically this bear. is
There are
the one I'm
instances
talking
of
about.
that bear up at Central High School. I cannot tell you the last time that it was used, but I do know there are current instances of it. The other thing I've done, Matt, is I reached out, I had the principal send an email to the entire faculty staff, custodial staff, secretaries, and asked them if they've ever been aware of that bear, if they know where it might be, please let us know.
So you gotta have the original to
No,
give him
let
credit.
me tell you what I was thinking to do is, if I could find that original, what I wanted to do was frame it, and I wanted to put it somewhere in the building that had Matt's name on it. That was my intention all along. That's what I wanted to do.
How about this?
I've not been able to find it.
Since I can see that for some reason you guys are still resistant to offer me any kind of public acknowledgement, even though you do admit that I have drawn instances of the exact same image there. How about you display a copy of this,
Well,
and then you mention the acknowledgement on the wall, just,
can you draw us another version of that we can put it on
That's a good
as your
idea.
drawing? Because that really isn't your drawing. I mean, it is.
That
but
is
it's-
his.
This is my
No, no,
drawing.
I
It's a
mean,
and by the way, I'm not giving you another image
Oh,
to
no.
exploit me with.
no.
Matt, that's not
We're
our.
one-
That's not what I was gonna say,
to put it up
to
in
put it up in our case with all our trophies that says that you drew this, because that's been colorized, and yours was
That-
the original
We were,
line drawing.
that's what we were looking for. I wanted to find the original drawing. I was hoping I'd be able to show you here today.
Yeah.
We wanted to display it.
A new drawing of the bear, are you talking about recreation or just?
No,
or-
this, like this one, and maybe you can just blow that one up and sign it and put
Or
dates on it,
Actually,
because we don't have this, we can't find a good
Or
one.
redraw it.
We don't know, it may have been given to that company that created that, we honestly don't know.
You would see
so,
it right
so
here.
explain to me once again, what's your proposal?
Matt, what my intention was to find the original drawing and verify that it was the original drawing with your signature on it. And I was gonna have it framed, and I was gonna put it in a display case there at Central High School with your name on it, drawn by, with your name, class of 1987? 87. And then, once we found that, if that drawing there is used in that format in the future, I was going to make sure that your name was on there somewhere.
Okay, so what's the proposal now?
We need a version, we need
Right,
this,
okay.
because we
Can you
can't,
redraw that?
or blow it up, or give it in
Uh,
some capacity with your name on
You
it.
could probably, that probably doesn't even take you, just with talent, you could probably draw that and
Honestly,
draw it
wait a
identical.
minute, honestly,
I didn't know if you had another version of it that you didn't give to Mr. Kaler.
you would display it at the school with my credit.
Your signature would be on there, and I would put some kind of thing on there that says MattHawes, class of 1987. Okay?
And have you seen the trophy cases? I mean, they line the big hallway.
it could even say, it could say class of 87, comma, former cartoonist of the Centralian from 85 through 87 or something like that.
Well, that's
Looks
pretty
neat
well
you
what
did
is.
that.
You know,
Is there a way that you would phrase it, that you could at least acknowledge that you want, if you're still not gonna acknowledge every instance, that in the past you have used that image?
We could probably put something
we'll figure something out.
used
Yeah.
from X date to,
You know,
whatever.
used from, 1985 to, now.
Or if we said something like used for,
But Matt, the one thing I do want to do to make sure this thing doesn't go any further, I want to make sure that Mr. Husk and Larry Johnson, I think is his name. A little bit of my fear is that they would come back and say that you copied their work. And
No,
I,
no, I understand.
You understand that?
I understand, but you know what? I welcome them to say that. I know where they got their bear.
well, you know what I'm saying though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a little bit of my fear, because if they would come out and say, that's not good for you, that's not good for any of us, if
Because you
Mr.
give
Husk-
them credit.
If Mr. Huss would come out and say, that's nothing more than a line drawing of the bear that I originally created, and then we're gonna,
I can understand that. In fact, I wouldn't mind talking to them myself.
So, but if you can get us that, we can work something up. Everybody I talk to, Mr. Cole, they like,
I'm not
You know,
usually,
we're- no.
I'm not usually an unagreeable person.
right.
but,
No.
I think we could have had a lot of fun with this in other circumstances.
And obviously a proud Central High alum, otherwise we wouldn't be
He's
concerned
my whole
about this.
family.
Well, here's the thing, and you're from North, right?
Yeah,
What was the artist's name? John Sal or?
John Cio,
Cia.
longtime art teacher,
Cio.
local artist.
Of course, they were proud of him. I just kind of wanted Central to be proud of me.
Do you understand his
Actually,
circumstances, what
I
he's
already
talking
have the
about?
drawing, so
Yeah.
it was
If
just a
he
matter
was
of
Stan
arranging
Lee,
the
you'd be
drawing.
saying,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah, or just.
Stan Lee
Inside
drew
here,
Central
it'd be
Bear.
great. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. if you have
And,
that,
and give him credit, and you'd be so proud, but Matt's not that Stan Lee, so y'all you're talking like you think he shouldn't get,
No, I think we've moved past
and that's
that.
what he's
Yeah.
getting his
And I
feelings
wish
on.
you'd come forward
I think you were looking for a fight today.
No,
No, it
and-
wasn't.
And that wasn't our intention at all.
did I
You know,
not polite?
No.
Yeah, but we just didn't want you to think we were looking for a fight either. I mean, we
We
just
really
wanted.
wanted.
Well, we thought it was
to
more
find it
financial.
because-
We're both looking for the same thing to prove our points on our side. That's why you had your evidence and I have my evidence.
We're not, yeah, I mean, all
Let
we
me get
wanted
the
to
phone
do was
and do
take
that.
it through chronologically of what we were dealing with, what we were talking about, okay? What we
So
found
legally, are
out,
you gonna have trouble
historically,
with
what
the
we
other
had-
guy if he got any credit for it?
First
Is that
off,
what it is?
first
They
off,
were
it
paid.
wouldn't, but I can talk with them.
Well, the other guy was was paid for
I get
his
that.
Guys,
commission.
I've got a
Okay.
candidate here, okay?
All right,
Matt?
yeah, we gotta get going
Thanks,
too.
okay.
Thank you.
So he
I'll walk
doesn't,
you
he
guys
can't
back.
come back and say you didn't give me credit.
They sure do take a spell. Won't get me on my knees. Don't bow to enemies. Won't get me by my throat. Cause this here boy's the goat. So fly me high up in the sky, just like a kite flying late at night. I float on the wings as the storm begins. So go tell your friends I'm sailing so high, and I won't be denied. Sloop, whoop, 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 up to love. Sloop, whoop, 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 up to love. Ta 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 ta. Ta 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 ta. Sloop, whoop, 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 up to love. Sloop, whoop, 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 up to love. Ta 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 ta. Ta 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 ta. And just take my hand as I take the stand to perform this show, and watch my power grow. Cause I'll make them cower as the man of the hour. Such gifts they will shower upon me, yo. I'm stronger than any average man, and if you do see any need that you should doubt me, speak. Greatness ain't for the meek. Sloop, whoop, 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 up to love. Sloop, whoop, 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 up to love. Ta 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 ta. Ta 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 ta. Sloop, whoop, 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 up to love. Sloop, whoop, 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 up to love. Ta 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 ta. Ta 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 ta.